Mm, mm. All right. Good afternoon, folks. What's going on? This is your co-host. This is your host, Lynn B. Looking forward to spending this time with you. Before we get started today, again, I want to welcome you all to our Sunday brunch show. We're starting a little late because I was running into some technical difficulties, so I decided to start at 3:15. And if you logged on at 3:15, you saw that I was still having technical difficulties because it actually showed me. And I look like crap because I'm still recovering from this respiratory infection that's going around. But I just wanted to say again, welcome. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. This was the craziest Black History Month that I've ever seen. I guess it is true that he definitely cuts things short for the elect's sake, but we're going to go through some of that. But first, I want to give a shout out to my One Universal production crew. Yesterday, we actually broadcast live down at the historic South Broadway Athletic Club, right there at Shenandoah and 7th Street, right there on Broadway. And we had a great time. We hosted our shows with the Mardi Gras parade. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but St. Louis City, the St. Louis area, is the second biggest Mardi Gras town that celebrates. And like I was telling the guys on my show, you can see on some of our videos. So please make sure you check out our videos that we have on each and every one of our pages, our MMWA page, our One Universal Production page, which is our parent company. Our I think the boys were using the we had Dirty and Damien and Seabiscuit from the DCS Man Cave show. They were actually down on the streets, interacting with the crowd. Jason's little mini me son, who looks just like him. We had a great time, guys. Jim and I got a chance to sit upstairs in the warm area with a great view looking out over the parade as we did commentary with the folks that came by. So, again, if you did get a chance to see us yesterday, please log on to our Facebook pages, our MMWA, so you can see what Jim and I did. MMWA, make sure you like the page. That way you'll get all the notifications whenever we get ready to broadcast. And remember, that show airs okay, I'm going to start with Monday. Our Monday shows, DCS Man Cave Show with Dirty, uh, uh, Damian Cortez and Seabiscuit. Great show. You guys might want to check it out. Go to their page and see if you can see if what they took while they were down in the crowds with Mardi Gras yesterday. Our Tuesday shows, me and Dirty hosting One Nation network, where we try to hopefully with topics bring the nation together as one. We have a great time doing that show. That show airs Tuesdays at 7ish till about 9ish. Okay, and then on Thursdays we have that MMWA show. And again, please make sure you guys get a chance to check that out. I actually, if you go to I think I did it on our One Universal page, our One Nation page. I got a chance to actually interview Jim. This was my first time to really sit down and get to know him. And found out we knew a couple of people, and we have a lot of thought processes that are alike, which is so scary. This is what I love about dealing with these guys, working with these guys. A lot of our thought processes, even when it comes to how we deal with our family, how we deal with business, it's really the same. It's amazing. Okay, but so please check those out. And of course, you know, our Sunday brunch that airs on Sundays. So we're going to get started because I have to give a shout out to my boy Don Lemon, who unfortunately here looks like he's picking his nose, but he said that was this the worst Black History Month ever? We had so many crazy things. that went on with Black History Month. So let's go ahead and get started. And of course, you know, as he talks about things, I'll try to stop and interject. But he pretty much nails it here. When I saw this, I just knew I wanted to share this. Okay, so let's go ahead and hear with Don Lemons. This is from CNN, our .com news. Don Lemon, this may be the worst Black History Month ever.
The last night of Black History Month, what may be the worst Black History Month ever. You got blackface, you got the N-word, the call for the return of the KKK. Yes, all of that happened just this month. And listen, it's not a surprise. You don't have to have grown up in the Deep South like I did to know that racism is very much alive in this country. But don't fool yourself. Don't get it twisted. Racist acts are not just a Southern thing, as they say. They're popping up in fashion, in media, and even on Capitol Hill. And right now, the final hours of the worst Black History Month ever, there's more. Tonight, the Maryland House of Delegates unanimously voted to censure one of their own for using the N-word to describe a majority Black district. Yep, she went there. Marianne Lasanti, one of the few elected Democrats in the deep red, mostly white county, not only used that hateful word in conversation with other lawmakers last month, she told the Washington Post she didn't remember saying it, and she went on to say this, and this is a quote: "I'm sure everyone has used it. I've used the F word. I've used the Lord's name in vain." I almost can't believe that I have to say it again. Or maybe I can. That is not the same thing. Using the N-word to describe a country or a county where the majority of voters are Black is not the same thing as dropping an F-bomb or taking the Lord's name in vain. It's not the same because it is, quite frankly, racist. Lasanti released a statement apologizing, saying she is, quote, sickened that word came out of her mouth. Out of my mouth, that was her quote. "It is not in my vocabulary, and it does not represent my belief system, my life's work, or what's in my heart." But she's hardly the only one to use hateful language. She's not even the only one this month. So let me give you an example. There is the publisher of a small local newspaper in Alabama who wrote an editorial calling for the KKK to ride again. Goodlow Sutton wrote that Democrats were planning to raise taxes and then went on to say, quote, "Seems like the Klan would be welcome to raid the gated communities up there." But he wasn't done there. Nope. Sutton then told the Montgomery Advisor, quote, "We'll get the hemp ropes out, loop them over a tall limb, and hang all of them." So he lost his job as publisher, replaced by an African-American woman.
Okay, let me kind of stop there. I think I've mentioned this before. I know a lot of you people are getting really tired of seeing a lot of these videos, but a lot of the people in my community are happy that these videos are actually coming out because it's really exposing the hidden racism that a lot of people, teachers, police officers, police chiefs, newscasters, all of them have been caught really, let's be real, just showing people how they really, really feel. Am I right? You're really just showing people the real, true you. And I appreciate this because whenever you encounter, and of course, and you know, I speak from experience. You think I haven't dealt with racist bosses? That's how come I can't wait to further down. We're going to talk about this whole Lynn Patton thing and how they paraded this Black woman out to prove that Trump is not a racist. What Black person would work for a racist? Well, guess how many racists run major corporations? I'm sure myself, along with every African American that I know, has at one time knowingly or unknowingly worked for a racist. Now, with my heightened sense of sensitivities or abilities, whatever you want to call it, It doesn't take me long to sniff out a racist. And I'm gonna tell you something. Even as a very young person, a lot of you guys that in my family, and a lot of you guys that know me personally, my very first real job, which was working for Darcy Advertising, which was a great, we're talking Fortune 500 company, right down there on Memorial Street in the CBS building. They were the major advertisers for for Anheuser-Busch. And you know, I'm here in St. Louis, and Anheuser-Busch was the biggest corporation here at that time, back in the 70s. And at that point, I'm telling you, I was very upset because I said, what is this? Why? This is why I started looking to find ways to make my own money, because I can sniff out a racist. I'm not gonna lie to you. And people that I know that really don't have my back, you're fake. I can sniff you out too. So yeah, I'm glad this is taking place, because when I would tell people, oh, that person's got some issues, that person's racist. Oh, no, they're not. They're not. She's real nice. As I just had it happen to me in 2010 when I first started publishing my books. I had a supervisor that I absolutely love, an older white woman, and she was one of those. They used to tell her manager, Linda, she tell her manager, hey, if I'm out and you need somebody to cover, always call Linda first. Reliable, goes there on time, takes care of business. I was the go-to person until I told her that I was writing books, and I showed her when my books hit the Amazon's bestsellers list. Those of you that have listened to my Author Chat show or on my personal Facebook page have heard this story before. This woman was so pissed off because I was advancing in a way that she didn't feel I should have been able to advance. She tried to get me fired. But when you know the Most High, guess which one of us lost their jobs or ended up leaving? Wasn't me. So let's go ahead and continue. So I say that not to just rub it in, but this kind of crap has been happening. I'm sick. I'll be 61 next month. I've been working since I was, 17, 18 years old. I've been dealing with this bullshit my whole fucking life. All right, so let's continue. Sorry about the F-bomb.
Alicia R. Dexter is her name. And let's not forget about what has been going on in Virginia, shall we? You remember that what Governor Ralph Northam said when the scandal broke over his page in his medical school yearbook showing a man in blackface and another in a KKK outfit.
That photo and the racist and offensive attitudes it represents does not reflect that person I am today or the way that I have conducted myself as a soldier, a doctor, and a public servant. I am deeply sorry. I cannot change the decisions I made.
Did you hear that? This man used to be a doctor, run around in blackface. How do you think he really felt about his black patients? And did he really help them? How comfortable would you feel knowing that the person that knows your most intimate, darkest secrets about your health is a freaking racist? Hello, wake up call.
Nor can I undo the harm my behavior caused then and today.
He said he couldn't change the decisions he made, but less than 24 hours later, he changed his mind about taking responsibility for that photo.
I would remember that. And I have no recollection at all. It's not my picture. I was not in that costume, either as blackface or as KKK.
And this is a tone-deaf defense. It really is, if I've ever heard one. And I'm sure I'm not the guy in the blackface in the yearbook photo. If I wasn't that guy, or if I was, whatever, I would have remembered. I know because I remember putting on blackface that other time, is what he said.
I dressed up, what's his name? Michael Jackson, excuse me. That's why I had Pam with me. I had the shoes, I had a glove, and I used this a little bit.
His wife Pam that you see right here. Miss Pam got her own issues, so stay tuned because Don's gonna cover it.
A shoe polish to put under on my cheeks. It was a dance contest. I had always liked Michael Jackson. I actually won the contest because I had learned how to do the moonwalk.
Governor Northam is not the only one facing a blackface scandal this month. The number 3 official in Virginia, the Attorney General, Mark Herring, said he put on a blackface for a party in the 1980s when he and his friends dressed like rappers. Herring has apologized. And remember when Governor Northam's wife apparently stopped him from demonstrating his moonwalking skills in that news conference?
Are you still able to moonwalk? No. Inappropriate circumstance. My wife says inappropriate circumstance.
Well, now Pam Northam herself is in the midst of a controversy for reportedly handing out cotton to African-American students on a tour of the governor's mansion and asking them to imagine being slaves in the fields.
Now, did you guys hear that? Now, she tells her husband to dance like Michael Jackson will be inappropriate, but it was appropriate for her to hand out raw cotton to Black people who were actually state employee children and ask them to imagine what it's like to be slaves. Do they ask Jewish kids to hold on to or to go naked and try to understand what it was like to be a Holocaust survivor? What the hell?
That is according to a state employee who is the mother of one of the students, an 8th grade girl. Pam Northam said in a statement that she regretted upsetting anyone with what she called an educational tour. And the governor's office insists African-American students were not singled out. It does sound like her intentions were good. She wanted the students to think about the horrors of slavery. But do you have to hold a piece of cotton to do that? And it's not just in politics where people...
Okay, so I'm going to stop it again there. Because is it strange to you that they look like educated, well-rounded people that should absolutely have some freaking common sense, but apparently they don't? Is that what we're looking at here? Or is it that, just like we've always suspected, they don't see us as being equal? They see us still as being beneath them and feeling like they can do whatever they want and it's okay. And then when they get busted, like this woman said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. It was just a slip. A 19 or 20-year-old, I can see that as a slip. But if you go back and look at this woman, let's go back and look at Miss. There she is. Let's go back here. See her? Look at her. Does she look like she's 20, 30, 40 years old? She looks like a 50-something-year-old woman who should have some freaking common sense. Okay? But apparently she doesn't, because she thought that it was okay to give cotton out to the Black students on the tour of the mansion. So let me ask you another question. Oh, because I really got to do Dianne Feinstein. So thank you. I'm glad I reminded myself of that. Because I think personally, she did that to get back because they embarrassed her husband and herself and their family about his blackface. And so she decided that bullies and cowards always go after the ones that are more innocent and helpless. So she attacks the children, because there's no way in the world you could tell me that she would actually have done the same thing to Jewish kids, asking them to visualize what it was like to be a Holocaust survivor. She needs, I would say she needs to be ashamed of herself, but I don't even think she has it in her. I'm going to be real honest with her. It's just common sense, people. You don't have to be a rocket science to treat people decent, okay? You just have to have a heart. And these two don't have a heart. They're only thinking about themselves, their families, and what they can get out of his position as, what is he, governor? It's just really, really sad. Okay, so I'm not finished. This is going to be a very. We're not even going to talk about the African diaspora today. We're talking about what happened in the month of February. So let's continue, because I got a couple videos for you.
My wife says inappropriate circumstances.
Well, now Pam
So she knew that was inappropriate, but not what she did.
herself
Silly, crazy.
is in the midst of a controversy for reportedly handing out cotton to African American students on a tour of the governor's mansion and asking them to imagine being slaves in the fields. That is according to a state employee who is the mother of one of the students, an 8th grade girl. Pam Northam said in a statement that she regretted upsetting anyone with what she called an educational tour. And the governor's office insists African American students were not singled out. It does sound like her intentions were good. She wanted the students to think about the horrors of slavery. But do you have to hold a piece of cotton to do that?
Right.
And it's not just in politics where people are being tone deaf. Burberry apologized for showing a hoodie with a noose around the neck at a London Fashion Week. Gucci apologized for a sweater that resembled blackface and has promised to promote diversity in their company. Jussie Smollett's job on Empire may be on the line after producers cut his character Jamal Lyons from the final 2 episodes of the season in the wake of allegations he staged his own hate crime. Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie T. Johnson said this.
Empire actor Jussie Smollett took advantage of the pain and anger of racism to promote his career. I'm left hanging my head and asking why. Why would anyone, especially an African American man, use the symbolism of a noose to make false accusations?
And of course, there was Congressman Mark Meadows.
Okay, I got to stop that before we go to Mike. Before we go to Mark Meadows, who is, I can't wait to get to him. Jussie Smollett. How disappointing are you with what he did? I don't care what your salary or your beef was with Empire. We're dealing with enough craziness that you did not have to do this, okay? Just bear with. I'm just kind of letting people know that I'm going there. Okay. You did not have to do that. And you put a lot of people at risk. You should be totally ashamed of yourself. Okay? Totally. And if Empire decides to terminate your contract, you brought that on yourself, dude. That was, and then to run around with a noose over, you need your ass whooped, right? Okay, I'm just keeping it real. Okay, so we're gonna continue here. And at first I was a little pissed at this police chief, but as more and more information came out, I think he handled it just right. What do you guys think?
Of a noose to make false accusations.
And of course, there was Congressman Mark Meadows at the Michael Cohen hearing just yesterday, trotting out Lynn Patton, a Trump administration official, as if she were a live prop.
Yeah.
In an attempt to prove the president couldn't possibly be a racist.
I asked Lynn to come today in her personal capacity to actually shed some light. How long have you known Ms. Patton?
I'm responsible for Lynn Patton joining the Trump organization and the jobs that she currently holds.
Well, I'm glad you acknowledge that, because you made some very demeaning comments about the president that Ms. Patton doesn't agree with. In fact, it has to do with your claim of racism. She says that as a daughter of a man born in Birmingham, Alabama, that there is no way that she would work for an individual who was racist. How do you reconcile the two of those?
Okay, before Michael responds, let me say this. This man right here is freaking clueless. Your constituents should immediately vote you out of office because you have no. These are some of the clueless people I have ever met in my life. I'm going to say this again. Do you know how many racist people I have worked for, knowingly and unknowingly? You know, and let me tell you about people like Miss Lynn Patton here. And I've told people this before. I think I mentioned it on my show. Um, uh, Omarosa, go get her book, Unhinged. She talks about Miss Patton in here. Lynn Patton's her experience before coming to work as an administrator in the Department of Housing and Urban Development. That's where Trump pushes all the black people because he don't give a crap about HUD because he knows that he thinks in his mind that it's basically black people that use that service. That's why he's got that dumbass Ben Carson over it, who also hasn't a clue. You are a surgeon, but you're giving advice about housing. Have you ever been a real estate agent, dude? An investor? Nope, have no clue. Miss Lynn Patton, are you ready for this? Before she joined HUD, as Michael Cohen said, he was responsible for bringing her on. And I'm gonna tell you something. Omarosa actually speaks very highly of Michael Cohen. She says yeah, he's a dog. She said, but he's always treated me with respect and was always straightforward with her. Now, getting back to Miss Lynn Patton, Lynn Patton is like Stacey Dash and all these other little wannabes. They will sell their mama and their soul, okay, for money. And they don't care how they do it. Her previous experience, before working at HUD, she was Eric Trump's wedding planner. So you go from wedding planner, which is basically a 1099 self-owned business, or a corporation if you started your own corporation, to a government position where you're probably making up in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hell yeah, you're going to be loyal to Trump. You don't give a shit what Trump says or who he says it about as long as you get your check. Am I right? And those are I call them our black gatekeepers. They will sell you out for a buck like it ain't nothing. And this is what Miss Patton does. So, I love the fact that she was stupid enough to allow these people to use her. But listen to Michael Cohen. I like this man. But what part of, I believe we have the first president that might actually be a made man. You know what I'm saying? That nobody's talking about. Okay? Because if this ain't straight out of Casino, the movie, all right, let's listen to what Michael Cohen says about how he helped Lynn get to the Trump administration.
As neither should I, as the son of a Holocaust survivor.
See, he got him. I'm going to play that back. Check this out.
Who was racist? How do you reconcile the two of those?
As neither should I, as the son of a Holocaust survivor.
Boom.
All of that happened this month. This month, Black History Month, a month that proves, as if we couldn't all see it as clear as day, racism is not just part of our history, it's not just a part of our past, it is very much alive in America today.
All right.
Issue.
Yep.
It's something we all have to reckon with. Will you think about everything I just told you, please, as we move forward?
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and, all right. So that's the first video that I wanted to talk about. Now, I got to talk about my girl, AOC. Okay, I'm going to start using the hashtag AOC. This woman is my new shero. She realized as she watched this Cohen hearing, and she realized what the Republicans were trying to do. They were trying to just paint Michael Cohen as a liar. And why should we believe anything that you say because you are a liar? So AOC decides to start having Michael Cohen name names, and he did with a vengeance. Check this out.
Please pick up on some previous lines of questioning before getting into my own, so I may go a little quickly to get it all in 5 minutes. First, my colleague from Vermont had asked you several questions about AMI, the parent company of the National Enquirer. And in that, you mentioned a treasure trove, a quote, treasure trove of documents in David Pecker's office relating to information assembled from all these catch and kill operations against people who potentially had damaging information on the president. You also mentioned that the president was very concerned about the whereabouts of these documents and who possessed them. Does that treasure trove of documents still exist?
I don't know. I had asked David Pecker for them.
So you would say the person who knows the whereabouts of these documents would be David Pecker?
David Pecker, Barry Levine, or Dylan Howard.
Okay, thank you. Secondly, I want to ask a little bit about your conversation with my colleague from Missouri about asset inflation. To your knowledge, did the president ever provide inflated assets to an insurance company?
Yes.
Who else knows that the president did this?
Alan Weisselberg, Ron Lieberman, and Matthew Calamari.
And where would the committee find more information on this? Do you think we need to review his financial statements and his tax returns in order to compare them?
Yes, and you'd find it at the Trump board.
Thank you very much. The last thing here.
She nailed it, didn't she?
The Trump Golf Organization currently.
Oh, no, what happened?
Has a golf course in my home borough of the Bronx, Trump Links. I drive past it every day going between the Bronx and Queens. In fact, the Washington Post reported on the Trump Links Bronx course in an article entitled "Taxpayers Built This New York Golf Course and Trump Reaps the Rewards." That article is where many New Yorkers and people in the country learned that taxpayers spent $127 million to build Trump Links in a, quote, generous deal, allowing President Trump to keep almost every dollar that flows in on a golf course built with public funds. And this doesn't seem to be the only time the president has benefited at the expense of the public. Mr. Cohen, I want to ask you about your assertion that the president may have improperly devalued his assets to avoid paying taxes. According to an August 21st, 2016 report by the Washington Post, while the president claimed in financial disclosure forms that Trump National Golf Club in Jupiter, Florida, was worth more than $50 million, he had reported otherwise to local tax authorities that the course was worth, quote, no more than $5 million. Mr. Cohen, do you know whether this specific report is accurate?
It's identical to what he did at Trump National Golf Club at Briarcliff Manor.
Do you know, to your knowledge, was the president interested in reducing his local real estate bills, tax bills?
Yes.
And how did he do that?
What you do is you deflate the value of the asset, and then you put in a request to the tax department for a deduction.
Thank you. Now, in October 2018, the New York Times revealed that, quote, President Trump participated in dubious tax schemes during the 1990s, including instances of outright fraud that greatly increased the fortune he received from his parents. And it further stated from Mr. Trump, quote, he also helped formulate a strategy to undervalue his parents' real estate holdings by hundreds of millions of dollars on tax returns, sharply reducing his tax bill when those properties were transferred to him and his siblings. Mr. Cohen, do you know whether that specific report is accurate?
I don't. I wasn't there in the 1990s.
Who would know the answer to those questions?
Alan Weisselberg.
Okay. Did you see how she did that? Well, my boy said, okay, I wasn't there in the 90s now. I'm only 40. Okay. But then she said, so who would have access to that? So that way they can't sit up and paint everybody that Trump dealt with as a liar. Now, what I love is check out this lady right back here. She is just nodding and agreeing with whenever they nail this guy. Okay. Now, let's be real. If even a little bit of this was something President Obama had on in his background, now you know they would have impeached him his first year. Am I right? All right, let's continue.
And would it help for the committee to obtain federal and state tax returns from the president and his company to address that discrepancy?
I believe so.
Thank you very much. I yield the rest of my time to the chair.
All right. My girl nailed it, didn't she? Okay. Now here's what's sad about this. She is so intelligent. She is so smart. These Republicans absolutely hate her. Do you hear me? They absolutely hate her. Um, and it's so sad because if she was a Republican or a Republican loyalist and she spoke the way that she did and she did the things she would knock they little golden girl Tommy Lauren out of the pack. This little girl would knock Tommy Lauren or whatever that child's name is, knock her out the box. This is a very intelligent, smart young lady, and they absolutely hate her. All right, now, we're gonna go back to Miss Lynn Patton and talk and listen to what CNN is saying, because this also came from CNN News, as they talked about the way that this GOP rep, Mark Meadows, actually just brought this woman out, as a prop. You gotta let yourself be a prop, girl. Seriously. All right, let's listen. Huh?
Lynn Patton. I'm right here.
Oh, yes, sir.
Do you know Lynn Patton?
Yes, I do.
I asked Lynn to come today in her personal capacity to actually shed some light. How long have you known Ms. Patton?
I'm responsible for Lynn Patton joining the Trump organization and the job that she currently holds.
Well, I'm glad you acknowledge that because you made some very demeaning comments about the president that Ms. Patton doesn't agree with. In fact, it has to do with your claim of racism. She says that as a daughter of a man born in Birmingham, Alabama, that there is no way that she would work for an individual who was racist.
Mm-hmm.
How do you reconcile the two of those?
As neither should I, as the son of a Holocaust survivor.
But, Mr. Cohen, I guess what I'm saying is I've talked to the president over 300 times. I've not heard one time a racist comment out of his mouth in private. So how do you reconcile it? Do you have proof of those conversations?
I would ask you to.
Do you have tape recordings of those conversations?
No, sir.
Well, you've taped everybody else. Why wouldn't you have a tape?
That's also not true, sir. That's not true.
You haven't taped anybody?
I have taped.
How many times have you taped?
Notice how they try to do personal attacks, because he just basically nailed it. Like he said, hey, I know Trump's a racist, but he knows what Trump likes. This is not a bad looking woman. And they told people that if you're going to have blacks working for Trump, they could not be dark skinned blacks. They need to try to assimilate, looking more like a white person or a white woman, as opposed to a black person. Okay, that's why Omarosa and this Miss Lynn Patton got the weave all the way down to their backs and all this crazy shit, trying to perpetrate like they are who they are not. Okay, just keeping it real. All right, let's continue.
Taped individuals.
Maybe 100 times over 10 years.
Is that a low estimate? Because I've heard it's over 200 times.
No, I don't think. I think it's approximately about 100 from what I recall. But I would ask
so
you.
Why would
you ask me a question?
Do you have proof? Do you have proof? Yes or no?
I do.
Oh, where's the proof?
Ask Miss Patton how many people who are black are executives at the Trump organization, and the answer is zero.
Mr. Cohen, we could go through this. Here, I would ask unanimous consent that her entire.
Okay, see, so you see, he don't want to hear that. He did not want to hear that because it basically tells him, just like I said, there are no more. I think it was her and Omarosa were about the only blacks that were in that administration. Okay, but guess what? This guy, Mr. Mark Reynolds, he has his own dirty laundry. Okay, let's take a look at what Mr. Representative Mark Meadows was saying in 2012 about President Obama. Okay, so and apparently it's just really, really sad. Okay, because I hope I can find this. Because let's see. I don't have it. I didn't have it set up because I just thought about it. Here we go. Listen to these birther comments. This Mr. Here, this Mr. Hold on. Want you to listen to the birther comments from GOP rep Mark Meadows, who paraded out the black woman to prove that Trump's not a racist. Now check this out.
Obama home to Kenya or wherever it is. We're going to do it.
You're sent to Congress. Will you pursue some kind of investigation to find out whether or not this guy is really a citizen? And
I'm going to take this back because I want you to hear what he said.
12 is the time that we're going to send Mr. Obama home to Kenya or wherever it is. We're going to do it.
You're sent to Congress. Will you pursue some?
So we're going to send Obama, because this was going into Obama's second term. This man, Mr. Trump, is not a racist, so you got to defend it. You have a racist trying to defend a racist, had the nerve to say that they going to send Obama back to Kenya or wherever he came from. Listen to this again from his own mouth. Okay, we can't put words in your mouth. People forget about videos. It's crazy.
2012 is the time that we're going to send Mr. Obama home to Kenya or wherever it is. We're going to do it.
You're sent to Congress. Will you pursue some kind of investigation to find out whether or not this guy is really a citizen and entitled to those authorities?
Yes. You know, I see it as if we do our job from a grassroots standpoint, we won't have to worry about it. You know what? We'll send him back home to Kenya or wherever it is. We'll send him back home. Obama has gotten arrogant. He's using the pen to create and legislate.
Obama has gotten arrogant.
To create and
listen
legislate from arrogant. He's using. Obama has gotten arrogant.
We're arrogant when we're more intelligent than they are. They hate that with a passion. Do you hear me? Now Trump can't even read a complete sentence, but because Obama, who was the president of the Harvard Law Review before president, is arrogant because he's intelligent. Isn't it amazing how stupid people are very jealous of very intelligent people?
Using the pen to create and legislate from the executive branch, and we need to say enough and enough. And 2012 is when we're going to send him back home, wherever that may be. And,
All right. So Mark Meadows was actually a birther. Okay. Mr. Racist himself. And then I wonder if Lynn Pat knows that she sat up here. She probably don't care though, because she's still getting paid. But if she knows that a birther was the one that tried to use her, well, actually did use her to try to make a point, to try to defend another racist. You know, I'm like Don Lemon. You can't write this type of entertainment, okay? It's crazy. All right, so we're going to go ahead and leave that there. But I wanted you, look at that. So then, and just like everybody else, he then came back and said, oh, I believe he actually is of the U.S., but it is just absolutely mind-boggling, okay? It's just sickening. Now, before I go over to this other one, there was another incident that happened. This happened, I want to say, was this Friday? Look at this racist tribute to Ilhan. I think her name is Ilhan Omer. I think that's her name. Let's see if I can pull it up that way. Hold on, guys. This was just, I don't know if you guys saw this. It was just sickening. Okay. All right. Oh, good. All right. So I want to start here, right? Remember this 2 weeks ago when this woman made this statement and she got seriously attacked for being an anti-Semite. Okay, so I'm going to start this again. So the Democratic rep, Ilhan Omar, made speaking truth about the apartheid over there in Israel and just how horrible Israel is. And you know, they don't want you to speak against the fake Jews that are over there in Israel. And I call them that based on scripture, Revelation 2:9 and Revelation 3:9. Go do your homework. But they think that we're supposed to steal. Okay, they think that we are still supposed to bow down to the racist Israeli regime over there. Now, listen to this.
Calling anti-Semitic. In a tweet, Minnesota Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar suggested that Republican support for Israel is fueled by money, specifically by donations from a pro-Israel lobbying group.
Right.
We have senior congressional correspondent Bonnie Raju with details.
It is a no-brainer.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, in just her 7th week in office, again enduring sharp backlash after challenging support for Israel. The latest, a series of tweets Sunday that were criticized as anti-Semitic. First, in response to this threat from House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy.
If they do not take action, I think you'll see action from myself on ways that this cannot sustain itself. It's unacceptable in this country.
Minnesota Democrat tweeted, "It's all about the Benjamins, baby." That remark sparking an uproar.
Right.
Including from...
The sad thing is, she was absolutely right. And they were determined to make her apologize for this. And this is why I'm not a fan of this piece of crap here, Nancy Pelosi. And yeah, you guys might get all excited about what she did with Donald Trump, but she's too old. She needs to go. So does Dianne Feinstein, but we're going to have to save that for another week, okay? Because I don't know if you guys saw that video, but we're going to talk about this real quick. Because look how they attacked this poor woman and made her apologize, and then watch what they turned around and did this yesterday. This is unbelievable.
Democrat Max Rose, who called her statements deeply hurtful to Jews, including myself, calling her statement offensive by implying that Americans support Israel because of money alone. As the controversy grew, Omar sought to clarify her comments by tweeting AIPAC, implying she was referring to the powerful pro-Israel lobby.
So she wasn't talking about Israel. She was talking about their lobbying, but they don't want you to talk about anything with Israel because Israel basically runs the United States. That's what a lot of you guys don't know, okay? But check this out. So they made her apologize, but check this out, okay? Now, listen to this. Watch this. I couldn't believe it. I can say racist rant. Okay, well, actually, let's see if this pulls up. That's not what I'm looking for. I am looking for. Okay, hold on. You're not gonna believe what these idiots did. What would it? Well, let's see. What would I call that? I'm gonna call it a shrine to Ilhan. You're not gonna believe what these assholes did. Ilhan. What did I just say her last name was? Omar. Okay. For 9/11. I gotta watch what if that pulls it up. Oh, come on. See how they were trying to get her to resign? Okay. Let's see. See if I could just pull it up this way. 9/11 and Ilhan Omar. Okay, come on. Have they taken it down? Because there was they did a shrine. Hold on, let me go to Google real quick, guys. Hold on, because I've got to show you this. And knowing these, they might have taken it down. Let's see, 911. Because this was just shameful. Here we go. This is what I want you guys to see. And let me see if I can find the video of it. Let's see, go back. Anti-Muslim poster. Okay, let's see if I can. Let's go to the video. Anti-Muslim poster. Here it is. Check this out. I want to see which one. Okay, Business Insider. Check this out, guys. Now, look what they just did to her Friday. Now, after they made her apologize for her remarks of what she said about Israel. Now, look what they did. Okay, so I don't have a video on that. Hold on. You know I'm going to get to it, right? There we go. Let me just do this. Now, I don't want notifications. All right, guys, hold on. Because this just really aggravated the crap out of me. All right, so let me go back to YouTube. This is basically how I spend most of my time, guys. But, and I apologize that I didn't have this ready to share with you. Let's see, rid of this. So that doesn't screw it up. There we go. 2019. And I mean, they just did this. And this woman actually lost her job behind it. Look, okay, check this out. Again, CNN. So thank you, CNN. They can call it fake news. I'm still pissed at CNN.
This was a poster, Fred, associating Omar with the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And written on that poster, as you can see, the words, "I am proof you have forgotten." And this was, again, on display at a table in West Virginia State House at a Republican-sponsored public event. So you can imagine.
So a GOP State House put this up. Let's go back. Look at it again. So you can see what they did to this young woman. These are some of the nastiest people that we have so-called representing us, and they got to go.
As you can see, the words, "I am proof you have forgotten." And this was, again, on display at a table in West Virginia State House at a Republican-sponsored public event. So you can imagine this also caused a major firestorm there in the State House.
It sickens me. It absolutely sickens me. But yeah, I kicked that door open. I'll own it. I did. And I said some things I don't normally say. So the point should be, we shouldn't do what's going on outside here, whether it's the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. There's no place for that.
I find it distasteful. I said so. I went over and spoke with the people at that booth that I believe is sanctioned by a political party. They're out there with them.
Now, those were two Democrats, but a chairwoman for the state GOP condemned the poster pretty immediately and said in a statement this: "Our party supports freedom of speech, but we do not endorse speech that advances intolerant and hateful views. We have shown that when West..."
Okay, so let's go back. You see this? Now, remember, when she talked about the AIPAC the Israeli lobbyist group, they called her an anti-Semite and made her apologize. But when that poster was set up, this West Virginia Republican Party chairwoman, Melody Potter, and they actually have her on video saying this, she said, our party supports freedom of speech. So how come freedom of speech wasn't a part of what Ilhan Omar said when she blasted the Israeli lobbyist group, the AIPAC? See, this is why you know I'm getting ready to go there, right? Why waste our time voting? And I know I'm going to get a lot of feedback because we've actually had state representatives on our what is it? One Nation show with Dirty and I on Tuesdays, and I'm getting more and more to the point where it's like, I don't care what you guys do. It's just time for me to go. It's just time for me to leave the U.S. And with that being said, I wanted to. I can't believe I thought I had that up. Let's see. Okay, I want you to hear this one, but they were also talking to. Okay, let me go back here. They were talking to Lawrence Wilkerson. Okay, I think on CNN today. And he was talking about, he actually said that he was on CNN. Let's see if I can pull that up. I thought I had. I think is this it? This might, now this. What? I can't believe I did not have this. Let's see. Let's see if this is it, guys. Hold on. I apologize. I don't like these stupid ass commercials.
I do. If you ride, you get it. Geico Motorcycle.
See how they got it so that you can't even click off of these little stupid commercials?
We had probably pulled the wool over the American people's eyes, certainly over the international community's eyes. So I felt pretty low about it.
Okay, so this is Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, who was actually Colin Powell's chief of staff. So you don't see Colin on here. Notice how the black people that have so-called made it and have made their little money, and they see all this stuff going on, but they're too afraid to come out here and say anything. But they'll send somebody that looks like Colonel Wilkerson out to share their message so that way they don't get attacked. This is why we don't have any black leaders, guys. It's really, really sad. That almighty dollar has sold out every freaking black leader that we've ever had. And according to Colonel Wilkerson, listen to this, some of the white ones too. Check out what he says.
I wish I had resigned.
Oh.
One of the things that disturbs me most about this is that the same tactics are being used as were used in 2002 and early 2003 with regard to Iraq. The same people, the same tactics.
Right. Now he's talking about the, believe it or not, guys, they're trying to start a war with Venezuela. But Vladimir Putin has stepped in and is now siding with Venezuela. But again, I want you just to hear what Colonel Wilkerson said here.
Tactics, the same litany, the same strategy, the same everything. And yet there seems to be, as Gorbachev called the American people, we are the United States of amnesia. There seems to be no reasonable attitude out there about this, that, hey, we've seen this before. We do not need to do this again. We've been at war for 17 years now, but that's the problem we have in this country. No one remembers these things. No one associates them with the present or the future, and we keep repeating the same mistakes over and over.
Indeed, the facts and Iraq's behavior show that Saddam Hussein and his regime are concealing their efforts to produce more weapons of mass destruction.
When I listened to him present, I realized that the 6 days, 7 nights that we spent preparing his presentation had not allowed me
to look at the whole thing, to understand exactly what he was saying, particularly the part where he connected the 9/11 attacks, Al Qaeda, the terrorist organization, with Saddam Hussein, which I and others in the intelligence community knew was a real stretch. So this was bogus information.
Real stretch basically means it was a real lie. Okay.
We were putting out at the United Nations. And Richard Cheney, the vice president, and George Tenet, the DCI, knew that it was bogus information and never told the Secretary of State. It was one of the lowest points, if not the lowest points in my professional life. And Powell has said, I shall ever be remembered for that moment in the United Nations talking about Iraq Study.
Yeah.
I suspect he's right.
Now, my question is this. Do you guys think they did that deliberately and made Colin Powell actually be the one telling this lie about the WMDs in Iraq? And you had pastors, and one in particular, what's his name, Matthew Perry, lying, talking about they had Israeli leaders telling them for sure that there were weapons of mass destruction over there in Iraq, and it was all a lie. It was all based on oil, just like John Bolton said, the reason why they want to go into Venezuela is all based on the oil.
American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger.
This decision in 2003 to invade Iraq will be ever interpreted by historians as a catastrophic strategic mistake.
Right.
What we did when we invaded Iraq was violate.
Okay, I'm going to be sharing another video on my Patreon page, and let me pull that up for you guys later this week. So make sure, because some of the stuff I want to say, I can't say it here because YouTube will block my channel and Facebook would not allow me to say it. So here's my Patreon page. I just wanted to pull this up for those of you that might be interested. I just started it, and I just want you to, and it is based on the Sunday Brunch Show. So in order to get to it, you want to just put in www.patreon.com, SUNDA, there's no Y, Brunch with Linda, okay? Because I'm going to be uploading some more videos and really start getting this thing going, because it's just so much going on out here, guys, that you have to be aware of. And I know that a lot of you are super busy and probably just don't have the time, but you got to see what's really going on out here. Now, I'm going to show you my last video that I like to talk about, and this is this is Matt Gaetz bragging to Trump about what he said and did to Michael Cohen during this congressional hearing. Listen to this. This is what we're dealing with.
Matt Gaetz has had a really, really bad week, but it's a really bad week of his own design. Earlier this week, in fact, the evening before Michael Cohen's testimony before Congress, Matt Gaetz tweeted out what appeared to be a threat against Michael Cohen, threatening to reveal all sorts of sordid details about his personal life and his family, you know, under the assumption that Cohen was going to go in there and attack Donald Trump on Wednesday. Matt Gaetz wanted to make sure that Cohen knew that they had dirt on him too, so he should play nice. Well, immediately, Gaetz got attacked for this tweet, and not just by people on Twitter. The Florida Bar Association is now launching an investigation into Matt Gaetz to see if he did, in fact, tamper with a congressional witness. The House Ethics Committee is very likely also going to be launching an investigation into him, and Matt Gaetz had to go on the House floor. He apologized to Nancy Pelosi. He says that he spoke to Michael Cohen and apologized to him. He issued a tweet and apologized to everybody and said, families are off limits. Let's not do this again. I shouldn't have done it. And then the truth was actually revealed sometime after that. Because as it turns out, Donald Trump, while he was in Hanoi, Vietnam, made a personal phone call to Matt Gaetz where he thanked Gaetz for threatening Michael Cohen. And according to a staff reporter for The Atlantic.
So, did you guys hear this? And shout out to the Ring of Fire for coming forward with this great video. President Trump thanked Congressman Gatz for threatening Michael Cohen during the hearings. First of all, isn't that against the law, like tampering with a witness? And seriously, you are going to, this is why I say again, I think our president is a made man. I think we have our first mafia don in the White House. Okay.
Who overheard the phone call, this is what Matt Gaetz said. I was happy to do it for you. You just keep killing it. I was happy to do it for you. This is either Matt Gaetz admitting that I did this for you, bud. You know, you're a good friend. I did it for you. Or it could mean I did the thing you wanted me to do. One of those things carries a prison sentence. Well, technically, they both would carry a prison sentence. One of them just carries a longer prison sentence and also implicates Donald Trump in federal witness tampering.
Yes.
So, if Matt Gaetz did in fact threaten Michael Cohen on Twitter per Donald Trump's order, then yes, that would be both of those men engaging in federal witness tampering, which carries a decent sized prison sentence.
Wow. Again, so a shout out to the Ring of Fire for bringing us this great video. I tell you guys, it's just really, really sad that this is what our country has come down to. All right. So thanks all of you guys for joining and listening in. I hope this was informational and informative to you. I know I enjoyed it, but we're a little past our time, so I'm going to let you guys go. You have a great one. Bye-bye.